Ciao everyone and welcome back to another episode of Learn Italian with Songs. Today we are going to talk about Gigi l'amoroso by Dalida, which is a little bit a dive into the past because we are talking about a song released in 1974. I wasn't even born back then, but it became a classic. Not that much in Italy, I have to say, but more in other countries. In fact, this is actually a request. In fact, remember that if you want to leave requests so I can put songs to analyze on the magnificent list, just let me know in the comments. So, as I was saying, it was a request. And so I, of course, accepted the request, but I didn't know this song before. That said, small announcement. As I said yesterday, keep in mind that in July we will have changes happening on this channel. Because for the whole of July, since I have school matters to deal with, I will be absent, not because I'm going anywhere, it's just that I will be away the whole day, so I won't be able to prepare the streams, my beautiful notes as usual, and probably at the end of the day I will be in the condition of a cooked potato. So just keep in mind that for the whole of July we won't be having live streams. I'll keep posting our beautiful quizzes in the post section. I will keep publishing and releasing YouTube shorts, but no live streams. So keep it in mind. You can go on holiday, on vacation, and don't think about me and about the live streams generally. For the whole of July, in August, I will be back with new content. Probably, I don't know, it will depend on how many requests I will receive in the meantime. Eventually, we'll do something more light with more Duolingo stuff, not a problem. We'll see. But for now, one thing for sure, no live streams for July. YouTube shorts and YouTube quizzes will keep being released. We will back as before, like right now in August and so on. Thanks for your attention. Now let's keep going with Gigi l'amoroso. So let's start with the title. We could translate it meaning-wise Gigi the lover. And guess what is this story about? Because this actually is a full-on ballad with recited part. In fact, like I started a little bit before than usual because this song is long. Like if you listen to it, it lasts something like 7 minutes. It's like very long. And so you have to think that is a story, full-on told story of this Gigi l'amoroso, Gigi the lover, we could say. Literally, we should translate it as full of love, because when in Italian we put the suffix oso or osa, osi, ose, plural, we mean that something or someone is full of that. For example, affettuoso, full of affection. Peloso, full of hair. So it means someone full of love. And of course, when you have a lot of something, what do? You share it. And in fact, we could also say the loving one. Okay, a lot of love happening. So for once, we have happy vibes, and because this week, I have to admit, is quite dark, but not today. We have to rebalance things. So we go with the classic love story, very popular in Italy. And just to put it in perspective, this song became so famous that the original version is in French. Probably one of the reasons why it had more success in other countries than in Italy, despite being quite famous nonetheless. Then, of course, being a story about an Italian guy happening in Italy, we'll see specifically where because it's said in the story. Of course, vuoi non fare la versione in italiano? E certo che facciamo la versione in italiano. So, of course, Dalida said, okay, the original version was in French, but why not having it in Italian as well? And in fact, the main point will be to compare the original version, the French one, with the Italian version. So, it's like, that's not enough, however. And you might say, of course, you have the version in English. And in fact, we have the version in English, while in Italian and in French it is titled Gigi l'amoroso. In English it becomes The Great Gigi l'amoroso or simply The Great Gigi. But that's not the only version we shall add. And you might say, oh, of course, we have French, we have Italian, we have English. Of course, we are going to have Spanish as well. Yes. We have the Spanish one, which is titled Gigi el Amoroso. But that's not the end. And at this point, you might say, okay, like, we got the French, we got the Italian, we got the English, we got the Spanish. What else can we get? Well, apparently, there is the German version, which is titled Gigi or Gigi, der Geliebte. And cherry on top, in Japanese, there is a Japanese version of this song, which is titled Aisuru Gigi. French kiss. So, sorry, chef kiss. Anyway, there is not much else I can say because I don't want to spoil too much the lyrics. So let's dive into the lyrics indeed. We start with the first verse. As I said, the song is very long, and in fact, we are going to have 3 full verses, 3 choruses, and 3 recited parts, plus a recited outro and a sung outro. So let's start with the first verse. Son tornata fra voi. I'm back among you. Per cantarla anche a voi. To sing it to you too. La storia di un sobborgo di Napoli. The story of a suburb of Naples. Okay. Why does Dalida says I am back among you? Because, as I explained in the introduction, the original version, it's the French one. So here she's saying, I came back with the Italian version so I can tell the story of Gigi to you as well. And in fact, the concept of the French version is pretty much the same because she says, Je vais vous raconter avant de vous quitter l'histoire d'un petit village près de Napoli. I will tell you, as in I am about to tell you, before leaving you, the story of a small village near Naples. And to be honest, here I have to say the French version is better. Because usually, first of all, sobborgo and suburb are not exact, like they are a little bit of false friends because sobborgo is often a small zone of a city. But here, most likely, the most correct translation to give you the idea of the setting is the small village, because we have usually main cities and then the more rural areas with the smaller villages. So we have this story, and this story is set in this small village near Naples. For some reason that I don't understand, the English version is completely different, And we'll find this issue through the whole story. So basically, if you listen to the Italian version, it is basically like the French one, is almost the translation. But sometimes the English version is completely another story. Because she says, maybe someday you'll come to the village I'm from, right by the bay of beautiful Napoli. And you might say, oh, so Dalida is from Naples, right? No, absolutely no. I guess here she's talking as the character she's playing as. That's the only thing I can explain that, because she's not from Naples at all. And in fact, Dalida, born with the name of Yolanda Cristina Giolitti, was born in Cairo, Kingdom of Egypt. And you might say, oh, well, maybe the parents were from Naples or around Naples, so probably it is because she had her family there. No, her family is from Calabria, which is like the region below Campania. Campania is the region where Naples is. So like doesn't make sense. Now, I also thought about something. The French version, of course, was made for France. The Italian version was made for Italy. And the English one, because it seems stupid, because you might say, oh, well, for the English-speaking countries. Yes, but there are many English-speaking countries, and each one of them has a specific culture, mainly concerning music. Now, analyzing the whole song, I'm pretty sure, and also the history of the song, I'm pretty sure the English version was made having in mind specifically the US. And there is this thing, apparently, that when you have to sell things for the from the US, you have to say, oh, I'm telling you this story and I'm coming from there. More authentic. I don't even know if this is necessary, to be honest, because I don't think that the US audience would care about the fact if you are from Naples or no. Like, they're like, okay, you're singing about Naples, cool. Do I really care if you come from there? Like, in the end, it's Italy. So I don't really understand this thing that when we have to sell to the US is like, oh yeah, I'm singing about that place and I am from that place. No, Dalida, you're not. But whatever. And then we have always the I divided into sections the verses because they are very long. So then we have the second section of the first verse. Loro tre insieme a me, the three of them together with me, a suonare e cantar, to play and sing, per I turisti ai tavoli del caffè, for tourists at the cafe tables. And pretty much the French version has the same meaning, because she says loro tre insieme a me, the three of them together with me. Who are these three? Well, two of them will be introduced shortly, and the other one is Gigi, of course. In fact, in French, she says nous étions quatre amis au bal tous les samedis à jouer et chanter toute la nuit. So we were four friends. Why three in the Italian one and four in the French one? Because if you count the whole band, it is four people, because we have Dalida, we have Gigi, and then we have the other two guys she's going to introduce in a moment. So in Italian is me and them, three. In French is we all four. Pretty much the same. And in Italian, it is not specified that they play on Saturdays. it is just said that they are playing and singing cantar, the truncated form of cantare, to sing, for the tourists. So in Italian is a little bit different because in French she says, we were for friends, partying every Saturday, like playing at the parties, at the fairs and whatnot, every Saturday, playing and singing all night long. So, for example, in the French one, it is not specified that this is for the tourists, but it's specified that it's like for a Saturday party. And in fact, also in English, she says, where each Saturday night, as the vino takes flight, I'm cringing, we sing and dance, and love of life is free. The English version is something else, but okay. And I swear to God, every time, like another thing that I see a lot, like many Italians doing, even nowadays, because back in the days for Dalida, is like, okay, whatever. But even nowadays, this is happening when Italians want to sell to US, sort of to prove that we are more authentic. We just have to use random Italian words, or like it's something that I've seen happening also, like, oh, when I am outside of Italy, I still use Italian words because it's not the same thing. Like, anche meno, because like it's very cringe personally. I get it. Of course, pizza is pizza. I'm not going to change the pronunciation or the accent to please the people from the place. Also because if they can't understand, it's their problem at that point. Pasta as well. Like if it is specific dishes from my country, of course, I will call them with the name of the country. Same with the cities. For me, it's more automatically to use the original name. Of course, if then the person I'm talking to doesn't understand, I'm going to translate it. But my first reaction is to use the original name. But the people using random names with completely correct translation, like, yeah, I don't have a grandma, I have a nonna, because the Italian nonna is not like a grandma. No, sweetie, it's the exact same thing. Don't brag about it, it's just cringe. Same thing, like, yeah, I don't have a mother, I have a mama. No, my dear, you have a mom, you have a mother, and I don't know why you have so many problems with integrations, to be honest. But yeah, when people using, while speaking English, just randomly Italian words is cringe. Like, also because it is clear that we do it mainly with English, because if you check the version of like, okay, in French and in Italian, like there are portions where she sings in Italian, and okay, she didn't want to translate, makes sense, but she doesn't just randomly shove Italian words in the text, like in the lyrics, with nonsense. The only case where she does that is in the English one. So, like, please, my dear fellow country people, can you stop use random Italian words while you speak in English just because you have to sell to the US audience? Because I swear to God, this is a certain level of commitment to make a fool of everyone, you and the other people who are listening to you. Because I can't believe you really think that your product or whatever you are trying to sell will increase their quality just because you shove Italian words in it. Also because these, a certain point, led to the whole issue of the Italian sounding, where at certain point in US, France, Germany, whatever outside of Italy, companies started to use Italian to make the product more authentic. There is a whole controversy happened back in the days for the Parmigiano, which is not the Parmesan, because there is the whole point of the DOP products, so prodotti di origine protetta, or DOC, prodotti di origine controllata, which are marks that guarantee you that product comes from Italy and it is made according to the technique that you are supposed to follow to make it. So it is telling you, I guarantee you that it was produced in Italy with the right ingredients, with the right process. Italian sounding is just like badly affecting everyone, so like let's just stop this cringe practice, because I get it, it's funny at a certain extent if you want to joke and whatever, but when you are serious about it, just don't. Also, like she says, I turisti al tavolo del caffè, for tourists at the cafe tables. Amo. Il bar, il caffè, vabbè. So, and then we have the other section. As I explained, we she's introducing the other members of the band. So we have Giorgio alla chitarra, Giorgio on the guitar, Sandro al mandolino, Sandro on the mandolin, io che ballavo al ritmo del tamburello, I who dance on the rhythm of the tambourine. Here is pretty much the same for everyone, because in French we have Giorgio alla guitare, Sandro alla mandoline, moi je dansais en frappant du tambourin. And same in English, Giorgio plays the guitar, Sandro the mandolin, and me, I danced and bang on the tambourine. Also, like, there is a thing that irks my nerves here. The only case where it rhymes, it is in English, because she says, Giorgio plays the guitar, Sandro the mandolin, and me, I dance and bang on the tambourine. In French and Italian, it doesn't rhyme, and this is destroying my brain cells, because in Italian is Giorgio alla chitarra, Sandro al mandolino, io che ballavo al ritmo del tamburello, because we don't really say tamburino, we say tamburello. But at this point, use your poetic license for once. And even in French, it's like Giorgio alla guitare, Sandro alla mandoline, moi je dansais en frappant du tambourin. Where rhyme. Also, like, it blew my mind that for some reason the mandolino changes gender in French. Okay, so il mandolino, what is a mandolino? Is a specific type of guitar, sort of. It is tear-shaped. And in Italian is il mandolino, masculine. But in French is feminine. France, why did you change the gender of the mandolin? Mind blown. So the introduction of the band is pretty much the same. We have our Dalida for the dance and tambourine. We have Giorgio for the guitar, Sandro for the mandolin, and of course Gigi is going to sing, because we need someone singing, as we said before. Ma la gente era lì, but the people were there solo per ascoltar just to listen to, lui che faceva battere ogni cuore. He who made every heart beat. So, as we said, he is the singer of the band. And pretty much is the same also in French. Maintenant, ce qui venait, c'était pour écouter celui qui faisait battre tout le corps. Donc, so it's like same concept. And also in English, a little change, like the words are a bit more changed, but the meaning is the same, because when Gigi appears, the hurrahs and the cheers come from the crowd as he begins to sing. So everyone was there because we have Gigi, who is very charming and also a great singer. And then we have the bridge. E tutti al suo apparir, instead of apparire, and everyone at his appearance gridavano così. They were screaming like this. Now, in the translation, it doesn't match the number of the subject, because in Italian, as I explained several times, tutti gridavano, so it is plural, but technically in English would be, and everyone was screaming at his, like this, at his appearance. So, long story short, they arrive, they start to sing and dance, he starts singing, and everyone is singing the choir. And in French is pretty much the song, and also in English, because in French they simply say, et quand il est arrivé, la foule s'est criée, and when he arrived, the crowd shouted, because like ... the chorus. In English is a little bit different, and in between each song they shout and sing out strong, which I think it was supposed to be loud, meaning wise, but loud didn't rhyme with song, so we take it home. And then we have the chorus. Arriva Gigi l'amoroso. Here comes Gigi l'amoroso. For example, this is one of the cases where even in French, even in the original version, the sentence was in Italian. And then it mixes. For some reason, arriva Gigi l'amoroso in English becomes we love you Gigi l'amoroso, but whatever works. Il rubacuori, gli occhi neri da insolente. The heartbreaker, literally heart stealer, the insolent black eyes. Gigi l'amoroso, il vincitor senza cuor, the heartless winner, ma così affascinante, but so fascinating, charming. Che festa grande starlo ad ascoltar, what a great party, as in great event, great celebration, great thing, to listen to him. Zazà, luna caprese, o sole mio. So, the idea is pretty much the same in every version. Gigi comes, everyone is losing their mind. It cracked me up the fact that in French is il rubacuori, gli occhi neri da insolente, the heartbreaker, the insolent black eyes becomes croqueur d'amour, l'oeil de velours comme une caresse, which is the love eater with a velvet eye like a caress, while in English is the greatest Italian lover since men discovered fire. It is beautiful, amazing, 10 out of 10, chef kiss. Then in French is toujours vainqueur, parfois sans cœur, always victorious, sometimes heartless. If you only knew what you make us do. This, she's talking directly to Gigi. And in French, it is toujours vainqueur, parfois sans cœur, mais jamais sans tendresse. Always victorious, sometimes heartless, but never without tenderness. In Italian, heartless winner, but so charming. So in the original version, in the French version, is a little bit cuter. And in English, if you only knew what you make us do with your songs of desire. Then in Italian and French is pretty much the same thing, because in French it is partout c'était la fête quand il chantait, while in Italian che festa grande starlo ad ascoltare, it is pretty much the same thing. What is the party? Like the celebration, because everyone was waiting for him to perform. So every time he performed, everyone was losing their mind. In English, for some reason, this becomes for each and every of his favorite songs. So I don't know, it loses a bit the hype, to be honest, in the English version, but it is what it is. And then cherry on top, it was like, no way. In Italian and in French is exactly the same. There are 3 songs mentioned. So what was he mainly singing? Zazà, Luna Caprese o Sole Mio? 3 Napolitan very famous songs. Now, what are these songs about? Zazà. Zazà stands for Dove sta Zazà, which is a Napolitan song written in 1944 by Raffaele Cutolo for the lyrics and Giuseppe Cioffi for the music. What it is about? It is the story of Isaiah. Isaiah tells the story of the mysterious disappearance of Zazà, his partner. Some say his wife. In the lyrics I found no wife is mentioned. They're like, you have this couple, Isaiah and Zazà, they stay together and they are at the San Gennaro festival, something like that. Yeah, San Gennaro the fair of San Gennaro. And at certain point, Zazà disappears. So Isaiah is desperate. After having searched for her in vain, Isaiah returns the following year, declaring, however, that if he doesn't find Zazà, he will settle for his sister. Again, some say he's going to marry her sister. There is no marriage mentioned, but it is what it is. Then Luna Caprese. Luna Caprese is another Napolitan song released in 1953. Became famous thanks to Nilla Pizzi first, and then internationally Connie Francis and Dalida herself. And then another very famous remake, like cover, was released by Peppino Di Capri. And it is a love song related to the moon of Capri. Capri is one of the main islands located in the Mediterranean Sea of the Sorrento Peninsula, on the south side of the Gulf of Naples in the Campania region of Italy. So basically you have Naples, you have some of the main islands in front of Naples. One of these main islands is Capri. And then we have O Sole Mio, Napolitan song released in 1898, so very, very old. Guess about what it could be, the sun, because O Sole Mio is literally "Oh my son." Son, the one, not the child, the sun in the sky. So both in French, in the French version and the Italian version, you have these 3 very famous Napolitan songs. And it fits the narrative. Why? Because, of course, what do you sing in Naples and generally in Campania? Napolitan songs, because are the songs of your culture. For some reason, In English, again targeting a US audience, it becomes volare come prima, and at least we keep sole mio o sole mio. Now, what is volare? Volare is the other name, the colloquial name of Nel blu dipinto di blu by Modugno, year 1958. It is very, very famous. I even made a video about it, so if you're curious and you don't know it, go check it. And then, come prima. Come prima is a love song. It is very short, very basic, classic 101 love song. Released in 1957. And of course, O Sole Mio is, as I said. Now, what is the issue here? That volare and come prima are not specific of Naples. They are in Italian, in fact. They are not in Neapolitan. And yes, they are famous. But in the whole of Italy, Zazà, Luna Caprese, O Sole Mio are specific of Naples and generally Campania. I get it. Probably Zazà and Luna Caprese were too niche. Not enough renown in US. But does it really matter? Like, I don't know. I don't have a degree in marketing, of course. But like, do you really need to put songs that are more famous in US but not related to Naples at all? Because I'll be honest, the reason why in the English version we have Volare and Come Prima is just because they were famous in US, not because they are in any way related to Naples and Campania. In fact, as I said, in the original version we have Zazà and Luna Caprese. I don't know. Not a fan of this changing, but I can see where Dalida is coming from. And then, as I promised, we also have a recited part, more than one. In fact, each section will end in a whole recited part. Gigi Giuseppe, ma tutti lo chiamavano Gigi l'amore. Gigi Giuseppe, but everyone called him Gigi the love. E le donne erano pazze di lui, tutte. And the women were crazy about him. All of them. La moglie del pizzaiolo, che ogni martedì chiudeva la bottega per andare to fuck, by the way. The pizzaiolo's wife who closed the shop every Tuesday to go to ... La moglie del notaio, che era una santa e che non aveva mai tradito suo marito prima. The notary's wife, who was a saint and had never cheated on her husband before. E la vedova del maresciallo, and the martial widow. La vedova del maresciallo che non portava più il lutto perché lui non amava il nero. The martial widow who no longer wore mourning, as in the attire, because he didn't like black, where he is Gigi. I have to say the formulation of the sentence is not 10 out of 10 because due to the syntax it seems that the person who didn't like the mourning attire was the maresciallo who passed, but no, the reference is at Gigi. Tutte vi dico, anche io, ma io, all of them, I tell you, me too, but Gigi amava troppo la sua libertà, fino al giorno che Gigi loved his freedom too much, until the day that... Now, here we are going to have some fun, because there are some fun facts. Now, the French version is pretty much the same. Gigi Giuseppe, ma tout le monde l'appelait Gigi l'amour. Of course, Gigi l'amour, not Gigi l'amore, because French translation, but same meaning. Et les femmes étaient foules de lui toutes. Same as in Italian. La femme de boulanger qui fermait sa boutique tous les mardis pour aller ... Now, In English, this recited part changes a lot because, first of all, for the first two lines, she just says, everyone loves Gigi. So, Gigi Giuseppe. Gigi l'amore. Vabbè. Okay, women were crazy about him, all of them. I get it, you can cut it because otherwise you might be repetitive, but the main point is that concerning the pizzaiolo's wife, in the Italian version is the pizzaiolo. Who is the pizzaiolo? The pizzaiolo is the guy making your pizza when you go at the pizzeria. So, in France, probably pizzerias weren't that popular back in the days. So, if in the Italian culture you say il pizzaiolo, what might be the equivalent for France? Le boulanger, the bakers, the baker. And in fact, even in the English version, we find the baker. Makes sense. But here, and when I noticed that the first time, I was like, no way. No way. Because the English version is censored and it doesn't even make sense, because in Italian she says the pizzaiolo's wife who closed the shop every Tuesday to go to ... Now, I was explicit and I said what she was doing. She was going to cheat on the husband with Gigi, because this is a bit the core of the story. And in English, and it's not that she's explicit, that's why I explained it. But in English, it becomes the baker's wife would leave her shop, so it's okay, just to hear him sing. Yeah, because she was making him sing, I bet. So, and then it keeps going. In Italian, la moglie del notaio, che era una santa e non aveva mai tradito suo marito prima, which is exactly the same in French. La femme du notaire qui était enceinte, une sainte, et qui n'avait jamais trompé son mari auparavant. It is exactly the same. The notary's wife who was a saint and had never cheated on her husband before. In English, it becomes for some reason, the notary's wife, who was a saint, blessed him and made the sign of the cross every time he opened his mouth. Babes, like US friends, no, they were all fucking with him. It's not that pure, the original version. And I love that basically it's like, yeah, in Italy and in France, we can say they were fucking, but in US, no. She was blessing, and the baker's wife was going to listen to him singing. Ma quando mai? And then we have the martial widow, which in French becomes the colonel's widow. In English, she's just the young widow. And what is the point? That even the widow was having a relationship with Gigi, and she wasn't wearing the mourning attire because he didn't like it. So to please him, she was wearing other things, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But for some reason, like, the English version becomes the young one, so the young widow tore her wigs to shreds and put on fancy lace. Like, I'm not surprised at this point that in US they have such a distorted like vision of Italy. Let's say that we, like, our singers are quite responsible as well for this distortion, because I think you can notice the difference. And like the closing thing is that even her was in love with him, but she wasn't too happy that he was just fucking around. And for some reason she says and on. In French and in Italian she says like all of them, but it is what it is. Everyone loved Gigi, even me, but. And here it seems that she doesn't stay with him anymore because of what the portion of the story told in the second section. No, in the Italian and in the French versions, pretty much she's saying, I don't like the fact that he's like not monogamous, which is understandable. And then we have the second verse. Dopo averlo squadrato, literally after having squared him, now squadrato, it means to square something, but in these type of expressions, it means to look someone up and down. So like examine someone with paying a lot of attention. Una ricca straniera e il rich foreigner gli fece una proposta per Hollywood. A rich foreigner, she made him a proposal for Hollywood. I don't know why in Italian one of the other characters of the story just become a rich foreigner. Because in French, she clearly said, une riche American, a rich American woman. And in English, it is kept because this version was made for the US. Came a lady one day, rich as all USA. Cracked up for the play on words, not gonna lie. Who told him Hollywood wasn't very far. So, like, it was reachable, like, also job speaking. In French, it's very funny because un riche Américain à un couple de je t'aime, lui proposa d'aller jusqu'à Hollywood. And it's funny because in French, she literally says, with great blows of I love you, which it basically is. This means that she nagged him so hard, kept like basically she bombed him. She kept telling him, oh my god, I love you, you're the best. To bringing back to the US. Like she just wanted a toy boy probably. And then it continues this thing in the second section. Più famoso sarai, di Caruso vedrai. More famous you will be than Caruso, you will see. She said, like, diceva lei finché lui disse sì. She said, until he said yes. So the nagging strategy, 10 out of 10. And in French is very similar because she says, tu seras le plus beau de tous les Caruso, lui disait jusqu'à prendre Hélène. Which is funny because you will be the most beautiful of all Carusos, she told him until she was out of breath. Nagging technique, 10 out of 10. And for some reason, in the French and the Italian version, she speaks about Caruso. Who is Caruso? Caruso is Enrico Caruso, back in the days, one of the most famous Italian operatic first lyric tenor, then dramatic tenor. So very, very famous. It's like nowadays saying Bocelli. Okay, so what is the point? That in the end, the whole point of bringing him to Hollywood is because he's a singer, right? And he's also handsome. And of course, many actors are also singers, dancers, and whatnot. So she was like, oh my God, I love you so much. You are the best. You are so handsome. You are the best singer and whatnot. In English, for some reason that I don't really get, she says, oh, he liked what he heard and believed every word, which is not exactly what is happening in the original version, because the reason why he goes is because he wants to, she nags him and presses him so much that at a certain point he says yes. While in the English version, it seems like she says, oh my God, so you are so cute, come with me to Hollywood. And it's like, oh my God, yes. No, where is the nagging tactic? And also the other thing that I didn't get. I understand that probably Caruso wasn't that famous yet in the United States. But she mentions Valentino because she says, like Valentino, he'd become a star. I don't know who Valentino is supposed to be. Because my first thought was like, okay, Valentino, fashion designer. Okay, Valentino, the fashion designer, is renowned worldwide. But how is this related to Hollywood? Because the whole point is to talk about singers. So I went on Wikipedia and checked that in US at certain point there was a very famous singer called Valentino, but he wasn't Italian. While the whole point is that Caruso is Italian, Valentino, at least this singer I found, was from South America, or like from a Spanish-speaking country. So confusion of the highest order. And then she convinced him. What's the next step? We have to say goodbye. Tutti quanti al treno, everyone to the train, fazzoletti alla mano, handkerchief in hand, la morte in cuore per questo grande addio. Death in the heart for this great farewell. Now, addio is the stronger version of goodbye, which is arrivederci. Now, in English, there is not exactly the same distinction because, fun fact, addio literally means goodbye, sort of. Because addio means to, go implied with God, addio, to God. Which is opposed to arrivederci, which means arrivederci. To see again each other. So, see you soon. Arrivederci. Addio usually is once and for all. That's why I thought, okay, farewell seems the best solution. Because usually when you say addio is final, because you are sending someone with God. When do you send someone with God? When they die, usually. So, just to put it in perspective. So, okay, let me just check a thing. Because sometimes... okay, I guess YouTube is a bit buggy. Let me check once again. Okay, it works. So, because it's like these days, it's a little bit like that, OBS. Anyway, so, scene, she, like this rich US lady, managed to convince him. So, they go, he has to leave, definitive goodbye, because at this point, if you leave for US, chances are you're not going to come back. Mainly because we're talking about a small village, so quite poor. Chances are, if you go to make money, you are going to enjoy the money. Makes sense. And in French is pretty much the same. Nous voilà à la gare, avec tous nos mouchoirs, le cœur serré, ému, par ce grand départ. So here we are at the station with all our handkerchiefs, with a heavy heart moved by this great departure. In Italian is a little bit dramatic because death in the heart, because when you are very sad, you can say that you have death in your heart. Very, very tragic and very dramatic. Now, what is the scene? The scene is the very famous and cinema movie one with the handkerchief. So it's the classic scene where like everyone is saying goodbye, moving the handkerchief like this. Now, I have a honest question. This famous scene is usually made with several vehicles, okay? So the handkerchief farewell scene, it can be with the train, it can be with the boat, okay. The handkerchiefs in English disappear. Why? Because the English version says, we were all at the boat with a lump in our throat to wish him well and show him how much we cared. Now, for some reason, in the English version, there is the boat, but I'm quite sure that US people know what trains are. And same thing, I also think they know about the handkerchief farewell. No? Might be wrong? I don't know. And also the English version is much more positive. Like the Italian, con la morte nel cuore, with death in the heart. In French, le cœur serré, with a heavy heart. In English, yeah, we were wishing him well. No, where the drama, where the struggle. Disappointed. Tuttavia, così fieri, yet so proud, di vederlo partire, to see him go, to see him leave, il nostro Gigi a conquistar New York. Our Gigi, implied going, to conquer New York. Now, pretty much same in French, pourtant on était fiers qu'il dépasse nos frontières. Gigi partait conquérir l'Amérique. Now, I understand that here the lyrics is changed because in English is everyone in the crowd was openly proud, were openly proud. He made it now beyond the village square. Because I guess that telling the US that they were being conquered is not the nicest thing. I still think that people are not stupid, so they would understand the context. It's like to conquer the audience. But understandable, you don't want to risk it because you want to have success. Fair. So the idea is that everyone is sad, but deep down everyone is also happy because they are supporting him. They hope he is going to have success. Probably to brag about the fact that they know him. And then we have the second bridge. E quando arrivò, and when he arrived, la gente gli gridò, people shouted at him, like in a nice way, like cheering. French, same thing. Et quand il arriva, le village était là. And when he arrived, the village was there. And for some reason, now the English version seems like sad. Why? Because she says, and when he said goodbye, we all began to cry. But in this case, it's not crying. It is shouting, because the whole point is that they start singing the chorus. So the idea is that he has to leave, everyone is very sad, but deep down, like they are hoping he's going to have success, so they are all waiting him at the train station, or the port, the wharf at this point for the English version, and when he arrives to bid him farewell, they start to sing to him. What do they sing? What is the chorus? Arriva Gigi l'amoroso, il rubacuori, gli occhi neri da insolente. Gigi l'amoroso, il vincitore senza cuor, ma così affascinante. E là davanti a tutti lui cantò, this is different, Zazà, luna caprese, o sole mio. Here comes Gigi l'amoroso, the heartbreaker, the insolent black eyes, the heartless winner, but so charming, and there, in front of everyone, he sang. Like, this line is different, but pretty much the same. The meaning is always the same. So, they sing to him, he sings back to bid farewell. Once again, in French and in Italian, Zazà, luna caprese, o sole mio. In English, we are not even trying anymore. Because in English, it is... We love you, Gigi l'amoroso, the greatest Italian lover since man discovered fire. Gigi l'amoroso, if you only knew what you make us do with your songs of desire. Arrivederci, Gigi, much success. Random Italian put there. The tears you see are tears of happiness. But okay, the meaning is pretty much the same. And then we have the recited part. Gigi. Quando il treno scomparve, noi tornammo tutti alle nostre case. When the train disappeared, we all returned to our homes. E l'indomani, il quartiere non era più lo stesso. And the next day, the neighborhood was no longer the same. La moglie del pizzaiolo si rifiutò di accendere il forno. The pizzaiolo's wife refused to turn on the oven. La moglie del notaio, dalla disperazione, prese diversi amanti. The notary's wife, out of desperation, took several lovers. E la vedova del maresciallo sbarrò le persiane e riprese il lutto per la seconda volta. And the marshal's widow closed the shutters and went into mourning for the second time. Sì, il quartiere era ben cambiato. E io... Yes, the neighborhood had changed a lot, and I. Now, let's go with the censorship part 2. Pretty much, the French version is the same. Quand le train a disparu, nous sommes tous rentrés chez nous. When the train disappeared, we all went home. Et le lendemain, le village n'était plus le même. And the next day, the village was no longer the same. La femme du boulanger refusa d'allumer son four. Exactly like in Italian, the baker's wife refused to turn on the oven, except the fact that in Italian we have the pizzaiolo, in French you have the baker. La femme du notaire, par désespoir, prit plusieurs amants. The notary's wife, out of desperation, took several lovers, exactly like in Italian. Et la femme du colonel ferma ses persiennes et reprit les deux pour la seconde fois. The colonel's wife closed their shutters and went into mourning for the second time. Once again, exactly like in Italian. Oui, le village avait bien changé. Et moi, yes, the village had changed a lot. And me. So, basically, is the exact translation. And then we have the English. So, in English, we stayed till the boat was out of sight, and we all returned to the village. Ok, we have the setting change with the boat instead of the train. Fair. But it wasn't the same after he left. Everything seemed different. And here, fair, same meaning. The baker's wife refused to light the oven. Once again, just like in French, we have the baker. And here it comes the censorship, because the notary's wife doesn't take several lovers. The notary's wife wouldn't even talk to her husband. She just kept counting her beds. The beds. No. She wasn't counting the beds. Not at least the ones you might think of, if you will. The beds. Proprio. So, I don't get why. Probably, I don't know, because in US there was more censorship, I'm guessing, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Because in French and Italian, it's like, the whole point of Gigi is he was everyone's lover, just like Don Giovanni. The topos, the literary topos, is basically the Don Giovanni. Oh yeah. Like in French and Italian, yeah, like at that point, out of desperation, she was like collecting lovers right and left. And in the English version, it's like, she wasn't talking to her husband anymore. And she was only counting the beds. My brother in Christ, please. And the widow was pretty much the same, because no scandal, so we can keep the fact that she took the morning for a second time, and it's okay. Verse 3. What happens now? Quanto tempo passò? How much time passed? 5 anni d'allor. 5 years since, where allor is the truncated form of allora, so like at the time. Le lettere, da lui, chi le ha viste mai? Who has ever seen his letters? So the idea, they are not receiving news. And in fact, in French, les années ont passé sans qu'hiver, sans qu'été. Pretty much the same. 5 years passed. Fast forward 5 years. No news, c'était good news. On nous avait dit. No news was good news, we told ourselves. So, same concept, makes sense. For some reason in English, many days have gone by, while in Italian and French is clear about the years. The years, how they fly. And once again, here you're she was supposed to specify 5 years, but got cut. And then the whole point that they didn't receive news disappears in the oblivion and becomes the fountain even cried. We all missed him so. No, not really. So, what is the point here? That 5 years have passed. No news. So they just hope everything is fine. He's doing good. And they pretty much moved on. Because at certain point you keep doing your things. While in English, like, it seems that they keep thinking about him, like they can't live without him, but whatever. Like, in Italian and French, the story is more focused on the fact that they miss him, but they moved on. In English, is more focused on the fact that they still miss him. And in fact, ce ne volle un bel po' di coraggio per noi riprendere la vita senza lui. It took a lot of courage for us to start life again without him. So the whole point is that they moved on. Like, they kept doing her things. Like, their things. While in English, not a word, not a sign. Oh Gigi, why did you have to go? They are not missing him that much, because the whole point was to be happy for him. So I don't know. The French version, by the way, matches the Italian one. E malgrado l'assenza, quando in mezzo al silenzio le luci si spegnevano nel caffè, and despite the absence, when in the midst of silence the lights went out in the café. Here it makes more sense in French because in French is et malgré son absence, la nuit dans le silence emplit nos costumes et nos instruments. Because it is, and despite his absence, so of course they still miss him, but they pretty much moved on, the night in silence we fold our costumes and our instruments because they kept performing without him. And for some reason, the English version keeps being more dramatic. Our performance went on, so that's correct for everything. But the spirit was gone. I guess each song we sang was only a memory. Again, it's not that dramatic in the original version in Italian. Sentivamo venire un sospiro ed un pianto dal fondo della sala come un canto. We heard coming a sigh and a cry from the back of the room like a song. And in French is exactly the same. In English, it's like worse and worse. At the end of our show, as the silence would grow, and until here, okay, makes sense, because the idea is that they kept performing, and one night after they finish to perform and they are putting things away, something happens. But for some reason in English it says, each night I'd hear his haunting melody. First of all, I wouldn't call it haunting, but the whole point of the story here is that time passed. One night, since they kept performing, they finished their performance and they are getting everything to leave. But from the darkness of the room, they hear this song, very familiar. And in fact, this chorus is very different. Il rubacuori, it is basically whispered in the song. The heartbreaker, gli occhi neri, the black eyes, insolent, Gigi. So basically, the idea is that in this version, like at this moment, at this point of the tale, the story, they are about to go away and they hear this song. What is this song? What the crowd and the band used to sing to Gigi. So she kinda hear it and she repeats some words, but almost whispering. And she starts thinking about Gigi. And at this point, something happens. Gigi? Sei tu laggiù nel buio? Is that you over there in the dark? Aspetta, lascia che ti guardi. Wait, let me look at you. Ma, piangi? Tu piangi, Gigi? But you are crying. You are crying, Gigi? Non t'è mica andata troppo bene laggiù, eh? You didn't do too well over there, did you? Ma e allora? This is the Italian 10 out of 10. E allora? So what? So what? Che cosa ci capiscono questi americani a parte il rock e il twist, eh? What do these Americans understand except rock and twist, eh? Ma Gigi, ma che ti credevi? But Gigi, what did you think? Diventare così Gigi l'americano? Becoming like that Gigi l'americano? E invece no. Tu sei Giuseppe Fabrizio Luca Santini. I don't know the name so long, but no, you are Giuseppe Fabrizio Luca Santini. E tu sei napoletano. And you are Napolitan. Ascolta. Giorgio si è messo alla chitarra. Listen, Giorgio has started playing the guitar. Aspetta, c'è anche Sandro. Wait, Sandro is here too, the guy for the mandolin. Ma non puoi andartene così? But you can't just live like this. Qui sei di casa. You are at home here. Sei nella tua terra. Sei il re. You are in your land. You are the king. So, pretty much in French is the same because she says the same things but in French. And once again, English is different. Now, Gigi, is that you in the shadow? It is you, Gigi. Come closer. Oh, let me look at you. You are crying. But why are you crying? Oh, l'americana, like the US lady. Now I understand. Which in Italian and in French, she's much more spicy. What do they know except rock and roll and baby, baby, baby? For some reason, we go from rock and twist to rock and roll and baby, baby, baby. I think that US people know about twist, but I don't know. It became baby, baby, baby. Then here, the English version is just not there. That's not for you. You are Giuseppe Fabrizio Luca Santini. And you are Napoletano. You are Napolitan. Listen, Gigi, that's Giorgio playing. And that's Sandro's mandolin. Wait, Gigi, wait. I'll get my tambourine. Wait, you can't live like that. This is your home. For some reason, the thing that he is the king got cut out. It is what it is. And I get it why she doesn't say, but what did you think? Becoming like that Gigi the Americano, like the Gigi the American. And one of the funny things is that if you heard me speaking in Italian, I don't say Americano. I don't say American. I say statunitense. Why? Because in Italy, geographically speaking, now depends on the school, but at Dalida times, since like even back in my days at school, that was the geographical model. At Dalida times, the geographical model was that America is not the United States of America. America is the ensemble, so all together, North America and South America. So, since until my days, we were studying that the continents are 5: Europe, Africa, Asia, America, and Oceania. Of course, if you say the adjective Americano, it means, so American, it means someone coming from the America continent, not from the United States. Because for someone coming from the United States of America, we have a specific term, which is statunitense. Now, at certain point, because of the cultural influence of the US on Italy, we took and Italianized the loan word American, because if a US person is talking about themselves, they say American. So what happened in Italian? That Americano got the second meaning loaned from US, so from US English, where Americano also means a citizen, like a US citizen, ignoring the fact that we have the specific term, which is statunitense. And this is crazy because there are so many Italians who don't want to acknowledge that. I had this discussion with so many Italians because I told them, look, technically, Americano as US citizen is a loan meaning. So we loan this meaning from the US English. But technically, in Italian, the correct adjective, the correct word would be statunitense. There are many Italians who refuse to acknowledge that, despite if you go on Treccani, which is one of the most important encyclopedias and vocabularies in Italy, you see that the first meaning of Americano is someone, something, like, because it's also for animals and whatnot, coming from the continent of America. Because we don't do the distinction. We have the adjective Sudamericano, but we don't use the adjective Nordamericano. So, Americano generally means from America. And there is this thing, weird things about Italian people. And in fact, here, like, she says, sì, l'americana, like the US lady. Now, I don't know why, like, probably in French, they just took the loan word from US English and kept that. But the stupid thing is that we have our own word in Italian, and some people just refuse to use it, which is okay, but they also complain about people using the correct word, which is like 10 out of 10 experience. So, that said, the idea is that something didn't go as he wanted, because basically the lady wanted, chances are she just wanted a lover. Hollywood wasn't even in the plans, also because at a certain point she mentions New York, and like Hollywood is on the other side of US, but like geography, it is something else, I guess. And probably she just wanted to have him, like, keep him as a toy boy, as a lover and whatnot. And of course, the becoming a famous singer or a famous actor, which was his hope, what he wanted, didn't go well. So he just came back home. But the issue is that he's not very happy because he's pretty much like, I failed and disappointed everyone, so they don't want me anymore, probably. But it's not like this, because she tells him, like, don't go away. Let's sing. Let's go back like before. And in fact, she says, Li senti? Li senti, Gigi? Do you hear them? Do you hear them, Gigi? Ci sono tutti, devono averti riconosciuto alla stazione. They're all here, they must have recognized you at the station, like when you arrived. Canta, Gigi, canta, e il tuo pubblico canta per loro. Sing, Gigi, sing, it's your audience, sing for them. Canta per me, che non ho mai saputo parlarti d'amore. Sing to me who never knew how to talk to you about love. So probably she never confessed her feelings. Dai, canta, bravo, Gigi, bravo, canta, sing Gigi, long story short. And then this part, in basically any version, is full on in Italian. She runs around calling people to bring back the audience, because so he can perform again. Carmela, scendi. Lo sai che è arrivato... No, scusa. Carmela, lo sai che è arrivato Gigi dall'America? Carmela, did you know that Gigi has arrived from America? Cesarina, scendi, è arrivato Gigi da Hollywood. Cesarina, calm down, Gigi has arrived from Hollywood. Ma se te lo dico io che è arrivato, scendi, no? This cracked me up because it's like 10 out of 10 in Italian interaction. Because like, ma se te lo dico io, which is like, but if I tell you that it's here, calm down, won't you? Scendi, no? And here we can see that Dalida is not Neapolitan at all. Guaglione, corri. Now, guaglione is the Italianized version of guaglio in Napolitan, which is boy. And in fact, she's saying boy, run. A person from Napoli will say guaglio, corri. So, vai a dire a zio Gennaro che è arrivato lo zio Gigi dall'America. Gennaro, very common name in Campania, not gonna lie. Go tell Uncle Gennaro that Uncle Gigi has arrived from America. And so she's basically calling everyone so they can perform. And finally, we have the outro, which is a little variation of the first chorus. Arriva Gigi l'amoroso, il rubacuori, gli occhi neri, da insolente, Gigi l'amoroso, il vincitor senza cuor ma così affascinante. Che festa grande starlo ad ascoltar, zazà, luna caprese o sole mio. Here comes Gigi l'amoroso, the heartbreaker, the insolent black eyes, the heartless winner. But so charming, what a great event to listen to him. Zazà, luna caprese o sole mio. And of course, I have to end this video with my beautiful heart-shaped sunglasses because if this is not appropriate, I don't know what it is. So, to summarize a bit the story, we have Gigi. Gigi is a singer, a performer, but most importantly, I like what a great lover, like a Don Giovanni 101 TM, OG, OMG, and so on. He has all the women of the village at his feet, even our narrator. And at certain point, his charm inevitably conquers also a rich US lady, who, by nagging him to death, convinces him to follow her in US. But she just wanted a fuckboy, so of course he can't manage to become famous in Hollywood, and he has to come back where he came from, so this little village near Napoli. He said he thinks he's going to disappoint everyone, but of course our narrator says, no, we were waiting for you, something was missing, we missed you and whatnot. And so everything ends well in a big party where everyone sings Zazà, luna caprese o sole mio, or in the English version, volare come prima and o sole mio. That said, remember what I said at the beginning of the video for the announcement. Let me know in the comments what you think of Gigi l'amoroso by Dalida. If you know also the other versions, let me know what you think and about the adaptations. That said, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.